Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by La Quinta by Wyndham. Your work can take you all over the place, like Texas. You've never been, but it's going to be great because you're staying at La Quinta by Wyndham. Their free Bright Side breakfast will give you energy for the day ahead. And after, you can unwind using their free high-speed Wi-Fi. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine. Book your stay today at lq.com.
The Dental Download podcast is your source for insight from conversations with fellow dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Dr. Haley. Let's get into this week's episode. Okay, hi everyone. We have another guest here today. I'm so excited to have Dr. Webster on the podcast. We've connected several times in real life. I don't always get to have real life mentors on the podcast, but Dr. Webster, could you tell us a little bit about your journey into dentistry so far?
Sure. So I am a dentist in Michigan. I went to the University of Michigan School of Dentistry, and I currently am a private practice owner, like many dentists are in the world. But something that was a little bit unique to my story, which is probably relevant to your audience, Haley, because it's mostly dental students, is where most dentists work as an associate for 5, 6, 7 years first, and then they transition to buying a practice or opening one. I actually started my practice while I was still in dental school. All right. And where most startup practices, when you start a practice from scratch, they can take like a year or two before the business actually shows a profit. So sometimes they'll run just at a loss for the first year or two, and you kind of expect that. We were actually profitable from our first month, and it has just been upward and gone well since then. Okay, so I kind of want to share a little bit of that story first, because I think that's kind of unique, and you can stop me, and I almost encourage you, Haley, to stop me at any point as I'm going along. Okay, so at our school, University of Michigan, at the time, we might still have it, we had a program called Pathways. And with Pathways, at least when I was there, you had to pick a topic to research and make it like your thesis project. So you had your entire time in dental school, basically you had 4 years to work on a project, and it could be anything of your choice. And most of my classmates picked things like how to find MB2. That was their project for 4 years, or like some weird periodontal bacteria, and that was their project for 4 years. I decided to make my project how to own and operate a dental office. And my goal at the end was to be able to own and operate a dental office. So basically, I leveraged learning how to do a startup practice into getting credit for school. And it also kind of gave me an open door and an excuse to do a lot of interviews and tours and analysis with practice owners all over the state of Michigan. So I call up offices and say, hey, I'm working on a school project. Can I come to your office and not only shadow, but can I see like the financial statements? Can I spend time with the front desk? Can you teach me about insurance? And I spent my dental school career on the side of class doing that. And it actually prepared me really, really well. When I was a second year dental student, I had already decided the name of my practice. I had the logo designed, and I purchased the web domain. By the time I was third year, the business plan was completely done, and I had pretty much narrowed it down to where my office was going to be. In fourth year, I applied to banks for startup loans, and I actually got pre-approved for my startup loan before I graduated. That was an interesting journey. Because when you go to a bank and you ask for a loan to open a dental office, the first thing they say is, are you a dentist? And my answer was not yet. And the next thing they ask is, have you ever run a business? And my answer was no. So it was quite the journey getting approved for that. But eventually we did. And it took about a year to build out the practice. So I did associate for like that first year out of school while everything was being built. That was a journey I could speak on as well. And then we opened up. And I actually, much like you have documented your journey, Haley, as a dental student, I documented my journey through this whole process of opening my practice. So I actually started my group, which is called Practice Biopsy, which is like a vlog. That's what it originally started at. It was a behind the scenes vlog of day 1 in my practice, day 2 in my practice, day 3 in my practice. And I chronicled that whole journey. And it just kind of grew into what Practice Biopsy is today, which is a group where dentists share ideas and share things about their own practices. And we also help dentists transition from being employee dentists into being owners. We help them do startups. We help them acquire practices. We've done that for almost 150 dentists now with really good results. And we also sell CE and other continuing education things. But it all started from just logging my journey of opening my practice, which I started as a dental student.
Since we're all about setting up a lean, mean practice today, we can't forget to factor in dental cabinets because ordinary cabinets don't stand up to the harsh operatory environment. Our friends at ADEC use top-of-the-line materials chosen specifically for dental. They test for 20 plus years of use by estimating things like how many times a practitioner will press a button or open a drawer, and they run through those cycles to make sure it holds up. If it doesn't, it's redesigned. Along with longevity, ADEC builds with a conscious eye towards the sustainability of our planet, incorporating best practices that minimize environmental impact. Go to the link in my show notes to learn about the latest ADEC Inspire 300 line. It's the most popular configurations boiled down to pre-configured, budget-friendly packages that just might work in your lean practice.
Is Practice Biopsy 100% you? Are you doing all of that, or do you have a team that you've kind of outsourced to a little bit?
I'm not doing all of it anymore.
Okay.
It was all me for a while, but now I have someone who manages my newsletter and does video editing and helps me with phone calls, because sometimes we have to do phone calls. So it's not just me anymore.
That's good, because you have a lot on your plate, and you also have a family that you give time to as well. So lots to manage. Going back to your journey of kind of laying out the whole groundwork for your practice while you were still in school, you said you picked out the location in advance. What tools were you using to figure out the demographics and location that made sense for you to do your startup?
Sure. So there's a couple things that go into that. So demographics, that's always the one people bring up. So we're going to talk about demographics, but we're also going to talk about the second thing that's equally as important, which is a competitive analysis. So we do a demographic analysis to find out who and what is there, and a competitive analysis reveals where do we actually fit in, and we'll kind of get a little bit into that. So for a demographic analysis, I wanted to find a place that needed a dentist. Okay. Now there could be areas of great need, and you could say, oh, they need a dentist. There could be areas that don't have great need, but they still could need you. So I always say with saturation, it depends what is being offered, which will kind of go more to the competitive field. But there could be an area that's got a ton of dentists, but there's something special about you, your practice, what you offer that makes it unique, whether it's the branding or a skill set, and then all of a sudden it's not so competitive anymore. But I wanted to find a place that was a little bit underserved in terms of how many dentists they had. Okay. And I also knew where I wanted to live. I wanted to live in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is where, we went to dental school. So I basically mapped out every city within a 45-minute driving commute of Ann Arbor. And I ran all the numbers for all those places. I wanted to know how many dentists were there, how old are the dentists there, what are the population metrics, how many in each age bracket. Okay, because I know different age brackets are going to have different dental needs. Okay, I'm going to look at the income, household income, average household income. Okay, I know that a more affluent income is going to have more expendable income for dentistry, but they're also going to need a different type of dentistry. I know a lower income is going to probably have more dental needs, but it's going to be a different type of dental needs, and dental insurance is going to play a different role in all of these things. So I had a giant spreadsheet where I mapped all of these things, and I pinpointed to eventually 2 different cities. And once I had decided via a demographic analysis, this is an area where there could be need, and also an area that has a demand for my skill set, because I was a dental student. I didn't have an advanced skill set. So I needed to identify a place where people just need basic dentistry, fillings, a crown, scaling or root planing. If it was a community that needed more than that basic skill set or didn't have a strong demand for those basic needs, then my skill set wouldn't have fit there. Another dentist might have done really well, but I wouldn't have. So I had to find a community that matched with my needs. So that's a big takeaway point. Okay. So once I narrowed it down to those 2 areas, I did the competitive analysis. So the competitive analysis is, where do I fit in and who is here? So a demographic analysis will say there are 50,000 people in this city and there's 20 dentists. Okay. But the next level of it is, who are these 20 dentists? Okay. Are these 20 dentists in the prime of their career and they do everything and they're really competitive and they market a lot and everything's really modern? Or are these 20 dentists like older people on their way out? Maybe they don't even have websites. So the 20 dentists that are there, when you look at a demographic analysis, could be very different people and paint a very different picture. So I actually went to every dental office and met all the dentists in the offices for the cities that I was most seriously considering, just to like see in the office, see what it was like, feel out the situation. I also spent time in these 2 different communities when I narrowed it down to 2. So I spent time in the communities. I went to parks, I went to restaurants, I went to festivals to see if I fit with the culture and to see if I thought I could serve the patient base. Even if it was something simple as like, I'm at dinner and I'm talking to the waitress, what are her teeth like? Oh, what are her teeth like? Oh, her teeth look like they could use some basic dentistry. This could be a good place for me. If I went somewhere and like, oh wow, they've got perfect teeth, they probably just need like maybe Invisalign and an implant when they're older if a tooth breaks. I don't know how to do that stuff. So I tried to go to places that needed simple dentistry. And that was a big part of helping us succeed so fast and so much. I lost your audio, Haley. I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, so at this point, now that you've been practicing for so long, are you still like fulfilled with the basic dentistry, or do you feel a desire to do more advanced treatments?
I'm actually moving even further into that other direction. So I actually do even less dentistry now, range of dentistry, than when I graduated. So when I graduated, I would do like simple endo, like 1 canal endo. I would like do restorative on kids. I do less and less. So I haven't done an endo in 4 years. I stopped doing that. I stopped doing restorative on kids above the age of, below the age of 10. Even if a crown prep looks like it's going to be really hard, I'll refer it to a prosthodontist to do. And the funny thing is, our office would, the more I would refer out or delegate that stuff, talk about delegation, the more profitable we would get. So when I stopped doing endo, when I stopped doing restorative on small kids, we just got more and more and more profitable because I filled that time with stuff that I wanted to do that was predictable in my hands. So I'm definitely not moving in the direction of doing more variety of dentistry. I'm actually moving in the direction of really streamlining and just doing the dentistry that I want to do. And with all of my extra time and energy that I have, I help dentists with practice biopsy, and I spend time with my family.
That was the next thing I wanted to ask you about, was your mentorship and teaching, if you will, coaching. What gave you that passion? Because you obviously had a business mind and growing your own practice, but when did you decide, I want to share this with people, I want to directly coach and mentor people?
So I was like that dental student, which every class has one, who would like take a bunch of notes and then like send out the notes to everyone else and like make a study guide. That was me. So I basically just did that on steroids. I've always liked to like tutor and teach. So even going back to like high school, I was a tutor in high school. In college during the summer, I would like work with like the Kaplan people in summer programs to like help pre-med students get ready. That's just what I did. I wrote my first book between graduating undergrad and starting dental school. I wrote my first book, which was #1 in its niche on Amazon. It was #1 on professional school admissions for 4 straight years. And it was just how to get into medical and dental school. I co-authored it with someone who's a dermatologist now. And I just like doing stuff like that. So I like creating and organizing resources. And again, with practice biopsy, it got to the point where so many people were asking me for help. It's like, I need to structure this and create it and create a package of some sort that can help more people. So like I said, in the beginning of this, we've had our hand in the startup / acquisition of about 150 offices now.
And you mentioned you went the startup route.
Mm-hmm.
What is your just general opinion when it comes to someone maybe deciding, should I do an acquisition or should I do a startup?
Don't be married to either choice, because you never know when the good opportunity is going to come along. So getting the right practice, whether it's a startup or an acquisition, a lot of it is luck. Okay. So you need to be ready for your lucky moment to come along. Okay. I did a startup. I got lucky. This spot was here. You might buy a practice. If you come across this practice, at the end of the day, you kind of got lucky. Like you were looking for it at the exact time that this person was selling it. If they sold it 2 years later, it wouldn't have been on the table for you. So you kind of have to get lucky with that. But you have to be ready to embrace these lucky moments, which means that you are prepared financially and strategically and informationally to do a startup. If a great piece of real estate in a great location comes up, you need to be prepared to do an acquisition. If a great practice comes up for sale in a place that you want to live, you've got to be ready for both of those. So I really harp on be ready for both and don't be married to either, because you might pass up a great opportunity to become a practice owner if that's what you want. Not everyone wants to be a practice owner.
And I think one of the things that's unique about the way you went about things and the way you help people go about things is reducing the upfront cost of getting into ownership. Sure. Compared to if you just Googled a consultant, they might not be giving you the exact same information.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. So I discovered this almost out of necessity. So as a dental student, I was broke, just like all the dental students are. Okay. So I looked up like, what's the average price to start a dental office? At the time in 2017, it was like 400,000, and now it's almost 600,000 for an average startup. Okay. Well, I didn't have that. I had like a few $1,000s in my bank. I think I had $8,000 in my bank account, and it was student loan money. And that's what I had. So I needed to do things differently. So at the time, the average price for a startup was like 400 or 450, and I did mine for about 80. Okay. And just as recently as this year, I have worked with dentists who have done it between 50 and 100. We just had someone who 93,000, I think, is one that we just posted in the group a couple weeks ago. But we keep ours way below the industry standard. And I realized I was onto something when I realized, hey, I could open 4 offices by the time the average dentist opened one, just on cost. Like I'm spending a quarter to what the normal is. And it was out of necessity. I had to get creative, and I had to be patient for the right deals, and I had to think outside the box a little bit. I mean, Haley, if you just listen on social media or talk to dentists who've opened offices, you'll talk to dentists who spent $120,000 just on cabinets. Mm-hmm. You know, you're putting paper towels in them. So we would look for things like that, and then we learned how to identify good deals. Just be patient and be ready for the good deals when they come up, and then you really will reduce your fixed costs. So the big value of having lower costs when you start up or acquire is to reduce your fixed costs. Your practice loan, your startup loan. Those costs are typically going to be the biggest cost in your office, and they're going to follow you for like a decade or 2 decades sometimes. And you're going to be paying off. But you have student loans paying off. So if you have $500,000 of student loans, do you really want another $800,000 to $1 million of debt for a practice? You got like, after interest, you have $2 million of loans, and you work so hard in school, and you're working so hard as a dentist, and you're just $2 million in the hole, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not
it doesn't seem smart to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make you excited about the future if you think about having that much.
Yeah, it didn't seem smart to me. So I didn't do it that way.
And I know, obviously, you're very passionate and interested when it comes to the business side of dentistry. That's something you're teaching. That's something you're living every day. Have you thought that you want to continue always being chairside and having your one practice, or long-term, do you see yourself growing into multiple offices and more of like a mentor doctor position?
Sure. So I really thought for a long time I wanted multiple offices, and I really don't want to. I like just being like the town dentist. That is enjoyable for me. It's fun for me. It doesn't feel like work. And if I can make the living that I have and I feel like I don't even have a job, I want to keep a good thing going. A lot of dentists, like, especially for your guys' generation, Haley, I don't know. It's like, as soon as they're out of school, they're like ready to be done being a dentist. I would like to be a clinical dentist practicing clinically until I'm 80 years old. And I hope my body will let me do that, just because I really like it. And I do simple dentistry. So I hope that I can continue this type of dentistry until I'm in my 70s or even 80. You know, I really, it's what I like to do. It's my hobby.
That's wonderful, and hopefully encouraging for people that are like, I don't know about this dentistry
I don't know
thing.
about being a dentist.
So another thing that I think is special about what you do compared to what you're seeing online a lot of the time is that you purposely are continuing to be in network with insurances. And that's something that's important to you versus a lot of the rhetoric online is go fee for service, drop insurance, can't be successful with insurance. Yeah. What's your take?
So I really like being in network with insurance for several reasons. One, it allows us to do very well financially. Our practice, as a solo practitioner, we're probably in terms of profitability, probably in the top 2% of all dental offices, maybe even smaller based on how this year is going. And we take insurance, and I totally don't have a problem with that. I like it, but at the core of it, one of the reasons I like to, and our slogan is affordable, kind, convenient. So the first thing is affordable. I like the idea of making dentistry more affordable for my community. And my patients probably can feel that, but I like the idea of making it more affordable. So if I can take your insurance and it will cost you less money and I can still make a good living, I'm happy with that. If you drop insurance, you can say, hey, you don't have to work as hard. You don't have to see as many people. Well, yeah, but the way I see that is you're not helping as many people. Okay. You can still get a good filling. You can still get a good crown. You can still get a good exam with taking their insurance or just charging them more money and not taking it. And you can do more, which to me is helping more people. I like the idea of that. A lot of dentists see that different. Many dentists would rather see like 3 patients a day, charge them as much as possible and go home. I would rather see like 30 patients a day. I don't see that many patients. I would rather see maybe 20 patients a day and just predictable dentistry, be able to help them and be able to not compromise them financially to get it done. I feel good when I know they don't spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And I think we've covered a lot of the really unique things about your journey so far. And you're putting together this book. Can you tell us a little bit about your book? And it's probably going to be out by the time this episode goes up. So
yes. So something else we did. This is an 800-page book that I wrote for you guys, as in young dentists and dental students. So this book is called You Don't Know What You Don't Know, 7 Lessons for Life in Dentistry. So I remember being a dental student, and older dentists would always say, well, you don't know what you don't know. But they wouldn't just like tell me so I could know too. So this is a collection of all of the things distilled into 7 lessons that I wish someone told me, that I wish that I knew. And it's not just my ideas. I also interviewed about 20 different dentists that were mentors to me. So I interviewed my own mentors for the things that they wish someone told them. And I distilled it down into 7 lessons that would be helpful. Okay. And the 7 lessons are varying across different topics. So chapter 1 is the profession, like how to choose a job, what to look for. What does it mean to have a successful career in dentistry? What does it mean to be happy in dentistry? Chapter 2 is called Money Moves. It's about financial planning, how to be smart with your money. Doctors and dentists specifically are known or are by the numbers underachievers of wealth. So compared to our income, we have drastically less wealth than other professions who have the same income. And there's reasons for that. And number 3 is patient communication, something that we really don't learn a lot about in dental school or even as dentists. So there's a whole breakdown for that in that chapter. Chapter 4 is called Be a Good Dentist. Like, what does it mean to be a good dentist? Like, have you ever thought about it? What does it really mean? What does it mean to be a good dentist? There's a lot that goes into that. There's clinical things that go into that. There's morals that go into that. There's character things that go into that. And you get to hear from me and then from the 20 different dentists that I talk to. And chapter 5 is your health as a dentist. Like, I want to practice till I'm 80. I've got to stay healthy. And there's a lot that goes into that. Mental health problems are really big in dentistry right now. There's a lot of depression, suicide, anxiety, things that are hard to deal with. And I know, again, the younger group, Gen Z, I can't open the news without hearing about the anxiety that Gen Z is dealing with right now. But that all ties into managing your health as a dentist, because it can be a very stressful profession. So we talk about a way to minimize and manage that and make sure that you're mentally and physically healthy so that you can have this career and enjoy it. Chapter 6 is all about dental insurance and the economics of dentistry. And chapter 7 is just your
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Whoa. Landing an account this big will totally change my landscaping business. It's going to mean hiring more guys and more equipment and new trucks for the new guys to drive the new equipment in. I don't know if I'm ready.
You can do this, and Ford Pro FinSimple can help. Our experts are ready to make growing pains less painful for your business with flexible financing solutions that meet the needs of your business today when you need them. Get started at fordpro.com/financing.
Role as a leader when you're a dentist. What does it mean to be a leader in the community, in your practice, and just in your life so you can have what you want? So cool thing about this book when it does come out, Haley, is I'm not making any money off of this, okay? So for the digital version, the PDF ebook is totally free. Also, for free, all of the interviews that I did for this book were recorded, and anyone who's interested will be able to stream them totally for free. If you want a hard copy, it is not free, but I don't make any money. So the way that this is priced on Amazon is Amazon has like a minimum price based on page count. So for an 800-page book, their minimum price is like $17. So anything above 17, if that's the number, that's my profit. So if I charge $20, I make $3. I am pricing it at that minimum price, so I make literally not even 1 penny every time a book is sold. So I am making it as free as possible. So I hope that it helps people, and that is a contribution to the collective intelligence of dentistry.
That's awesome, and I'm so excited to read it. I know you've been working on it for years.
I've been working on it for, I think, just over 2 years. I've been working on that. And it's
yeah,
fun.
That's awesome. So you have your Practice Biopsy Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
What are other places people should be looking for information for you or following along if they're trying to learn more from you?
Sure. So the best place is the Practice Biopsy Facebook group. So just go on Facebook, search Practice Biopsy. That's the best place. You can also go to practicebiopsy.com. So on practicebiopsy.com, you can see all my podcast stuff. You can see book recommendations, books that we have, CE courses that we have. So in addition to our main training that we do to help transition associates into owners or dental students to owners, we've had a couple dental students go through as well. We have like some more simple CE. So one coming out soon is 3-step dentures, like how to actually have a good denture, 3 steps. That's coming out too. We've got ones on real estate investing for dentists, just different other topics that could be valuable to learn for. And those are not all taught by me. You talked about delegating. Those are not all taught by me. There are other dentists that work with Practice Biopsy that create courses, and we sponsor them. We have an AGD accreditation. So everything is certified, and you get your CE credits, which you need anyways. So that is something else you can find on practicebiopsy.com.
That's great. I mean, I've been a happy member for all of dental school. I've learned so much. So it's helping people, but it's always nice to hear it too. So
yeah, it's nice. On the internet, sometimes you just feel like you're talking into the void because there's no one there. You're just looking at the camera. So it's nice to actually hear it back sometimes.
Exactly. So before we wrap up, do you have any final words of wisdom you want to leave people listening with?
Well, I will say words of wisdom, particularly to the younger group, is like time management. Okay. So we often think about free time. Like, oh, when I have free time. A mindset that was helpful to me is to understand that all of our time is free time. If you're in school and you're studying, you're doing that because that is what you want to do. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. If you're at work and you're working, you're doing this because this is how you want to spend your time. So I like to think that all of my time is free time. And no matter what I am doing at a given moment, hopefully it's something that I actually want to do. So I try to design my life in a way where I only spend my time where I'm actually doing things that are going to serve the outcomes and goals and lifestyle that I want. So I really say take autonomy over the management of your time and don't let it slip away from you. You have a lot more control over the way your time is spent than you would think.
Definitely. I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
Sure, Haley.